All right, let's try this thing. Oh man, this is going to be interesting. Where do we start? So, again, just to review, the premise is, can you build a company? Can you build a business, an app using ChatGPT? Not just can I build some tests? Can I write some code? Can I get some copy? But like legit, can you build a business with ChatGPT as your assistant? Iron Man's Jarvis, right? So I've been thinking about this, and I think we'll try something like a coffee in the coffee market. It's something that's interesting to me. Um, and I think it's a pretty big market. So the first thing is when you have like an idea, like, oh, I see this problem. I've identified this thing. I've talked to some people and they said this is an issue. You want to research it out. So I think this video will just we'll just kind of focus in on the idea and maybe do some market research. So just start from that. So I guess just we got to give the way Chat GPT works is you enter in these chats, and then anything that's inside this window is the context of the conversation. So as you keep adding more to it, that conversation every time gets sent over to the model and runs it. So it's kind of cool because it makes it look like everything's in context and it remembers your conversations. But really what it's doing is it's sending the whole thing over. So as your chat gets bigger and bigger, I think the payload gets bigger and bigger is what I understand. Anyway, that's technical. So where do we start? So I guess we got to establish a premise and then assumptions, and then we can look into like markets. So market size, general market info. Maybe we'll do some customer research on this video too. It might be another video. We'll see how long it goes, right? All right. So maybe I should establish the premise. So let's do, I build a digital coffee business, which would include an app for consumers and for coffee shops and the coffee market, I guess. Okay, so that's the premise. Premise again. All right, I have no idea. So like, let's see what it says. Oh man, this is so interesting. Huh. Interesting. Okay. I would have thought the global coffee market was bigger than that, but okay. Is that something that they're approximately in the world? Okay. Interesting. Seriously, I actually thought that the coffee market would be bigger than $30 billion globally. Curious. Okay. Um, yes, GGB. These are just fun market random research things. Oh, look at that. So now we have that's contributes 225 billion to the U.S. GDP, which production, distribution, retail sales. Right. Okay. Um. So what's interesting about this is like this is kind of like in Google you would use this and expect links back. I don't know if this does this or not. This is good though. Okay. Thanks to the latest coffee research, market research in the U.S. Right. So it doesn't do links. Okay. That's interesting. So that's one aspect where at least with Google you get that back. I will say that some of this information is pretty interesting. This is can I challenge this? Can I say where did you get why is this 30 billion? Why is this 225 billion? Why do you say it's 25 billion in the US but globally 30 billion? Like, is it going to tell me? I don't know. Let's see. Oh my word, what? Fine. It's funny. So it knows the difference, but the yeah, curious. Okay. Whatever. That's fine. Let's see here. So what's the let's get some more information. So what portion of this is Starbucks? Hmm. Okay. Can I hit it's funny, I want to hit the up arrow like I'm in the terminal. We get that same thing. What portion of this is Dunkin' Donuts? It's amazing how much those two represent that, right? So how let's see how let's see what these percentages add up to. What portion of this is from smaller coffee shops? By the way, so I use Obsidian for taking notes and stuff, and so I had this over here. I have a document just for this episode. What's cool about ChatGPT right now on this kind of simple interface is it does keep track of your chat, so I can keep this, copy the whole thing over here when I'm done. So that's kind of cool. Of course, it's difficult to estimate. Okay. And US. So getting down in the details, right? Because you always have in a market, you've got your big giant people like a Starbucks. You've got your niche people. It's kind of like Etsy. Like, is there's an Etsy for coffee? There is. There's people that buy their own little tiny roasters and they sit out on the porch. So I have no idea how many there are, what they spend. So it's just fun to use this to learn. So it thinks coffee roaster is equivalent to business in this case. Um, huh. This is kind of generic. You'll see this a lot. I've noticed with ChatGPT, which is good, by the way. There's nothing wrong with this. But you'll get generic stuff. And then if you dive into more details, you'll get more specific, more specific, more specific. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll say on the name to specific stars, farmers market, some independent coffee roasters sell coffee, local farmers, subscription services. Yeah. Okay. What else do I need to ask it? Look at my notes over here. Let's do some competitive market research. So, what are some tech companies? Right, are there companies that are targeting coffee market? Stupid question, right? Obviously, but it's like I don't know. Let's see. Right. It's funny actually. This is the first one because I've noticed in TechCrunch. I looked at this the other day, and most of the stuff mentioned in TechCrunch is around brewing equipment or subscription stuff. I haven't seen anything about a coffee shop management software. I've seen a bunch of subscription stuff. Curious. What about coffee apps? Right. Okay. That's pretty funny. Curious. I like that last one. That was actually kind of funny to me. Um, so that give me specifics. Ah, okay. Curious. the the ones that own 40% of the market. Okay. Yep. Yep. Ooh, Bean Hunter. Okay. That's cool. That'll give me some places to look. Now I'm curious about coffee shops. So what do I need to know about coffee shops? What does a local indie coffee shop, what do the sales of a local indie look like? I have no idea. I don't know. Is there? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no kidding. I'm guessing a small coffee shop does less than $1 million a year. Um, I think some of this advice that it gives us hilarious. What does a P&L of small coffee shop look like? So it's like 70% employees and then the rest of it. Let's see here. Thank you for explaining what net profit is. This is hilarious. I like this. It is also worth noting that a P&L statement is one financial tool that can be used to understand profitability. There are other important tools. That's so funny. All right, maybe we should get more specific. What percentage does a local coffee shop spend on employees? Let's see. The cost of employees, yeah, you already said that. I'm kind of asking the same thing over and over again, hoping to get a different answer. So is the trick, right? Oh, here, this is actually a little more specific. I've never heard of that. What? Okay. I have heard of this. I just didn't know that's what it's called. Oh my word, $1,000 a pound because some animal pooped it out. Hmm. Who sells these? I'm curious. I don't even know. I live in Florida, so where can I find these in Florida? Too generic. That's not helping me. It's going to tell me, hey, do your research, bro. Don't ask me. You are my research. You're supposed to be my research assistant. That's funny. The cost may be worth it for the experience. I hope so for $1,000 a pound. Oh man, it's so funny. Okay. See how far we can get with this. Again, a lot of this stuff is maybe too generic. This is the thing where, when you're coming up with a problem to solve and you're talking to people and you're talking to people who are close to it, they're going to have very nuanced, specific things. And in the case of this, obviously, it's generally kind of, generally kind of, it's general, it's high level. So you don't get some of those nuances that where you need to understand pain that people have. But like this, like competition. Come on, really? Yeah. So all this stuff is just super generic. What are some things customers expect of coffee shops? I mean, it's going to get generic again, right? I would assume it's generic. Yeah, of course, free Wi-Fi. So here's the thing. So I can imagine more customer problems, or another way to call it is opportunities. Um, this more specific things are like, where can I find a good Yemen roast in town, or who's got a good pour over, what's trending here, what do people like here, or I'm looking for a specific experience. I'm just trying to think, is there a way to get GPT to give me that information? Maybe I'm asking the wrong questions. We could ask it, do coffee drinkers look for specific types of coffee, like Yemen coffee? I don't know, something like that. Yeah, so like some of this is useful, some of it's not. Yeah. Okay. So I can start seeing where some of this is limiting. All right. So let's go back to the business, the premise. So for this business MVP, or well, minimal viable product, I just call it MVP. Let's see what it is. The goals are to get early coffee drinkers or drinker adopters. Sure. Early niche coffee shop owners and roasters and indie roasters. Pilot a subscription program. Now, what's it going to tell me? This is very declarative, so I don't know how this handles it. If your goals are, oh, kind of cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, build buzz, no pun intended. Yeah, pretty generic. All right. Based, let's see how far. I wasn't going to get into like solutions or stuff like that with this, but I'm just curious. Based on these recommendations, what kind of coffee app would address, wait, based on the, let's just do these, kind of how it would address these problems. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You've outlined for your MVP. Yeah, so I think we need to be much more specific. We can do that in another video. I think that the point here is, in researching the market, is not very. Some of the factual things. Oh, it's this big. That's interesting. Clearly, I need to go back and look at it though, because on one hand, it's saying it's several $100 billion, and the other hand, it's not. So maybe not as good for research as it seems. Yeah, doesn't feel like it's as good for research and market research as I had hoped. But that's okay. Pretty some of the stuff's still pretty interesting. Okay, so maybe not as useful as I was hoping it'd be for research, more early market research where I don't have a lot of specifics. I feel like if I got more specific on some things, it would be better. I kind of got off on a tangent, a little sidetracked, and started, asking what kind of coffee app would address these problems? But I think those problems need to be defined more, and it doesn't look like I have generic problems, but they're very generic. I guess I need to dive down into more details on those problems and then see what it gives. But for tonight, that's a good enough attempt for tonight. We'll see what happens the next night.